They found her in the blood-soaked clearing at dawn, hands glowing gold as she pressed them against the cub's torn chest. The warriors raised their weapons. The beta screamed, "She's killing him!" But Alpha King Nathan couldn't move. He watched as light poured from the strange Omega's fingertips into the dying prince's body, watched as the child's wounds began to close, watched as she whispered words in a language older than pack law. When the cub gasped his first breath, she collapsed. Blood poured from her eyes like tears, and Nathan, the most feared wolf in 3 kingdoms, fell to his knees because he'd just witnessed the impossible, and the woman who'd performed it was dying in front of him. Chapter 1. The Heretic. 3 years ago, Molly Stewart learned early that miracles were punished, not celebrated. She was 16 when her healing gift first manifested. When she'd pressed shaking hands against her dying mother's chest and felt the power surge through her like lightning. The golden light that poured from her palms had closed her mother's mortal wounds, had pulled her back from death's door. Her mother lived. Molly was exiled. Unnatural, the pack elders had declared. Dark magic, corruption of the moon's gifts. They'd stripped her designation papers, erased her name from pack records, and driven her beyond the border with nothing but the clothes on her back. Her mother had watched in silence, too afraid to defend the daughter who'd saved her life. That was 3 years ago. 3 years of surviving alone in the no-man's land between territories. 3 years of hiding what she was, of watching her gift fade from disuse, of wondering if she'd imagined the whole thing, until today. The smell of blood hit her first. Molly froze on the hunting path, and her basket of medicinal herbs clattering to the ground. Every instinct screamed at her to run. Blood meant predators. Blood meant danger. Blood meant alphas, and alphas meant questions she couldn't answer. But then she heard it. A whimper. Small, broken, terrified. A child. Her feet moved before her mind could stop them. She crashed through the underbrush, following the scent of copper and fear, until she stumbled into a clearing painted red. The cub lay in the center, no more than 7 years old. Shadowhawk talons had torn him open from shoulder to hip. 3 of the massive birds still circled overhead, waiting for him to stop moving so they could resume their feast. "No," Molly whispered. The cub's eyes found hers. They were striking even in death. 1 silver, 1 gold. Heterochromia. The mark of royalty. Prince Isaac. She recognized him from the wanted posters, from the whispered legends. The Northern King's nephew. The heir who'd disappeared 2 weeks ago during a border patrol. "Help," he mouthed, too weak to make sound. "Please." Molly's hands began to glow before she made the conscious choice. The power surged up from somewhere deep in her chest, that place she'd kept locked and frozen for 3 years. It rushed through her veins like molten gold, like sunlight given form. She fell to her knees beside him, pressing her palms against the worst of the wounds. The Shadowhawks shrieked and dove. She barely felt their talons raking her back as ancient words spilled from her lips, words she didn't remember learning. Words that tasted like moonlight and blood. The light intensified. Isaac's chest began to rise and fall in rhythm with her own breathing. The gashes started to close, flesh knitting together in ways that defied nature, defied logic, defied everything except the pure, desperate need to save him. She didn't hear the warriors arrive, didn't hear their shouts of alarm. The scrape of steel leaving sheaths. She was too deep in the healing, too focused on the golden thread connecting her life force to the child's fading spark. Just a little more. Just hold on. "She's killing him!" A male voice, sharp with horror. "The Omega's killing the prince!" "No!" Molly gasped, but she couldn't stop, couldn't pull away. The healing wasn't finished. If she stopped now, Isaac would die anyway. "Get her off him!" Rough hands grabbed her shoulders, and she snarled, actually snarled, and a pulse of power exploded outward, sending the warriors flying backward. In the sudden silence, she heard it. Isaac's heartbeat, strong, steady, alive. The wounds had closed completely. Even the scars were fading, leaving only smooth skin marked with a faint golden shimmer that would disappear in hours. Molly's hands fell away, the light died, and the price of the miracle came due. Pain exploded behind her eyes. Her nose began to bleed, then her ears. The world tilted sideways as her vision grayed at the edges. She tasted copper and saw the horrified faces of at least 20 northern warriors surrounding her, weapons drawn. But her eyes found him first. The Alpha King stood at the edge of the circle, and Molly understood why they called him untouchable. He was massive, easily 7 feet of pure predatory muscle wrapped in black furs and ceremonial armor. His hair was dark as midnight, in his eyes a molten amber that seemed to glow with inner fire, and he was staring at her like she was a ghost. "What did you do?" His voice was rough, shocked. Not angry, not yet, just stunned. "What in the moon's name did you do?" Molly tried to answer, but the world was fading fast. She looked down at Isaac, who was blinking in confusion, touching his healed chest with wonder. At least she'd saved him. At least one good thing would come from this. "You witch!" The beta, a scarred brute with cruel eyes, stepped forward, silver blade raised. "She used dark magic on the prince! She's corrupted him!" "No," Molly managed, blood streaming from her nose. I healed him, that's all. Just healed." Isaac's eyes opened fully. They were glowing, both of them. Silver and gold, were lit from within like twin moons. That wasn't normal. That wasn't supposed to happen. "The prince is marked," someone whispered. "She's tainted him. It changed him." The beta moved in for the kill. Molly was too weak to dodge, too drained to even raise her hands in defense. She closed her eyes and waited for the blade. It never came. A sound like thunder cracked across the clearing. Molly's eyes flew open to see the Alpha King on his knees in the mud, his massive frame bent in a posture that looked physically painful for someone of his rank. His head was bowed, his hands were pressed flat against the earth, and when he spoke, his voice shook. "Stop." Every warrior froze. "My king?" The beta's confusion was palpable. "She's dangerous. She used forbidden—" "She brought him back." The king's voice cracked. He looked up, and Molly saw tears tracking through the dirt on his face. "She brought him back from death. Do you understand? Isaac was gone. I felt it through the pack bond. His life thread snapped, and she—" He turned those burning amber eyes on Molly, and something passed between them. Something that made her wolf, her weak. As half-dormant Omega wolf, sit up and pay attention. "She performed a miracle," the king whispered. Then he fell forward onto his hands, head bowed before her in full submission, the gesture of an alpha acknowledging someone above his rank, someone sacred. Molly's vision tunneled. The last thing she saw before darkness claimed her was Isaac's glowing eyes fixed on her face, and his small voice saying something impossible. "The Moon Lady saved me. She lives in the stars now. She showed me the in-between place. Then nothing." Chapter 2. The Price of Miracles. Molly woke to whispers and the smell of sage. Her body felt wrong, hollowed out, like someone had scooped away everything vital and left only a fragile shell. Every breath hurt. Every heartbeat took effort she didn't have. 3 days now. No change. The healer says her life force is dangerously depleted. Whatever she did, it nearly killed her. Should have killed her. Unnatural creature. Molly's eyes cracked open. Stone ceiling, thick furs beneath her. A room too warm, too soft. She tried to sit up and immediately regretted it as pain lanced through her skull. "She's awake," a female voice, young and frightened. "Someone get the king." Footsteps thundered away. Molly managed to prop herself on one elbow, blinking against the firelight. She was in a massive bedroom. No, a suite, decorated with Northern Territory colors. Royal accommodations. Why wasn't she in a cell? The door burst open. The Alpha King filled the doorway, and Molly's breath caught despite herself. He'd cleaned up since the clearing. His dark hair was tied back, revealing sharp features and a jaw that could cut glass. But it was his eyes that pinned her in place, amber and intense and fixed on her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. "You're awake." His voice was softer than she remembered. He crossed the room in 3 strides, then stopped abruptly, as if remembering himself. "How do you feel?" "Like I died." Molly's voice came out as a rasp. "Why am I here? Where's Isaac?" "Safe, healthy, asking for you every hour." Something flickered across his face. "Though he's different now." Molly's stomach dropped. "Different how?" Before he could answer, a woman pushed past him, stunning, with silver-streaked blonde hair and eyes like winter storms. She moved with the grace of high rank, but her expression was torn between gratitude and fear. You." The woman stopped at the foot of the bed. "You're the one who healed my son." Son. This was Lady Michelle, Isaac's mother, sister to the Alpha King. Molly started, but Michelle kept talking. "He won't sleep unless someone's touching him. Says he can feel our emotions now. Our fear, our grief, our everything." Her voice cracked. "Last night he told me what I dreamed about. He shouldn't be able to do that. What did you do to him?" "I saved his life," Molly said quietly. "That's all." "And I swear." "She's lying!" The beta from the clearing, a man with scars across his neck and murder in his eyes, shouldered his way into the room. "Prince Isaac is marked, my king, changed by dark magic. We should— Troy!" The king's voice dropped to a growl. "Leave. But now." Troy's jaw worked, but he backed toward the door. Before leaving, he fixed Molly with a look of pure hatred. "The Pack Council meets tomorrow. We'll see what they say about harboring witches." The door slammed, and silence fell like a blade. "Is he right?" Michelle whispered. "Did you curse my son?" Molly forced herself to meet the mother's eyes. "I'm a healer. That's my gift from the moon. I don't know why Isaac is different now. Maybe the healing changed him. Maybe being so close to death left a mark. But I didn't curse him. I would never hurt a child." "Prove it." Michelle's hands shook. "Tell me what you are. Tell me why you can do what no other wolf can." So Molly told them. Everything. All her first healing at 16. Her exile. 3 years alone in the borderlands, half-starved and packless. The way her power had surged the moment she saw Isaac dying, instinct overriding 3 years of forced dormancy. "I can only heal someone once every year," she finished, "and it costs me. Every time I use it, I lose part of myself. My life force drains into whoever I'm saving. If I do it too often, it'll kill me." The king had gone very still. You nearly died saving my nephew." "Yes. You knew the cost and did it anyway." "He was a child." Molly's voice strengthened. "I couldn't leave him to die alone and afraid. I don't care what it cost me." Something shifted in Michelle's expression. The fear didn't disappear, but it softened. "You really don't want anything in return?" "I want to leave," Molly said honestly. "I want to go back to my cabin before your pack council decides I'm too dangerous to live." "I've caused enough trouble." "No." The king's voice was flat, final. "You're not leaving." Molly stared at him. "Excuse me?" "Half my pack wants to execute you. The other half wants to worship you. Troy is gathering support for a trial." He moved closer, and Molly had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. "If you leave my protection, you'll be dead within a week. Rogues, rival packs, wolves who think you're a threat, they'll all come for you." "That's not your problem." "It is now." His amber eyes burned into hers. "You saved my nephew's life. That makes you pack. That makes you mine to protect." The possessive edge in his voice made her wolf stir, made heat coil low in her belly despite the exhaustion. Molly shoved it down hard. "I don't need protection. I've survived 3 years alone, and you've been half dead the whole time." He gestured at her skeletal frame, hit the way her clothes hung loose. "When's the last time you ate a full meal? When's the last time you slept without one eye open?" Molly had no answer. "You stay," the king said. "Under my protection, in my territory. That's not a request. And if I refuse? Then I'll have you arrested for trespassing and keep you here anyway." He smiled, but there was no humor in it. "At least this way you get a comfortable room." "Nathan," Michelle's voice was gentle. "You're scaring her." "Good. Oh, maybe fear will keep her alive." But Nathan's expression softened slightly. "I'm not your enemy, Molly. I'm trying to help you." "Why?" The question burst out before she could stop it. "I'm nothing. Packless. Exiled. Why would the Alpha King care what happens to me?" Nathan opened his mouth, closed it. For a moment he looked almost vulnerable. Then the mask slammed back into place. "Because you did what I couldn't," he said quietly. "You saved him when I failed. That makes you more valuable than anyone in this kingdom." Before Molly could respond, the door opened. A small figure darted in, moving faster than the guards could catch him. Isaac. The boy looked healthy, cheeks pink, eyes bright, wounds completely healed. But those eyes glowed, silver and gold swirling with inner light. And when he saw Molly, his face split into a grin that was too knowing, too old for a 7-year-old. "Moon Lady!" He launched himself at the bed. "You're awake!" "And I told them you'd come back. The stars said so." Molly caught him automatically, and the moment their skin touched, she felt it. A connection. A bond that shouldn't exist between strangers. She could sense his emotions, joy, relief, fierce protectiveness, as clearly as if they were her own. "Isaac," she breathed. "What happened to you?" "You brought me back," he said simply, "but I saw things while I was gone. The in-between place, where the dead wait. Ned, and now I can see everything." His glowing eyes found his mother. "Mama's scared. Uncle Nathan is confused. Troy wants to hurt you." Michelle gasped. "Isaac, you can't—" "It's okay, Mama. Moon Lady won't let anyone hurt us." Isaac snuggled against Molly's chest like she was his anchor. "She smells like starlight, like safe." And despite everything, the danger, the confusion, the impossible situation, Molly found herself holding the boy close, found herself humming softly, the same wordless lullaby her mother used to sing. Isaac's eyes drifted closed. The glow faded to a soft shimmer. When Molly looked up, both Nathan and Michelle were staring at her with identical expressions of wonder. "He hasn't slept in 3 days," Michelle whispered. "How did you—" "I don't know." Molly stroked Isaac's hair gently. It felt right." Nathan's expression did something complicated. He looked at her like she was a puzzle he desperately needed to solve, like she was precious and terrifying in equal measure. "You'll stay," he said again, but this time it wasn't a command. It was a plea. "Please, let me protect you. Let me give you the home you should have had 3 years ago." Molly looked down at Isaac, sleeping peacefully for the first time since his resurrection, looked at Michelle's desperate hope, looked at Nathan's fierce, burning intensity. She was so tired of running, so tired of being alone. "1 month," she heard herself say. "I'll stay 1 month, until the council decides what to do with me." Nathan's shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank you." But as Michelle gathered Isaac to carry him back to bed, as Nathan moved toward the door, Molly couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just made a terrible mistake. Or a fate-changing one. She just didn't know which yet. Chapter 3. The Divided Pack. The Pack Council met in the Great Hall at sunset, and Molly could feel the tension from 3 floors away. She stood at the window of her room, guest suite, Nathan had insisted, not prison, watching wolves gather below. They arrived in clusters, whispering behind raised hands, shooting glances up at her window. Some faces held curiosity, others naked hostility. "You don't have to attend," Nathan said from the doorway. Molly didn't turn. "Yes, I do." "As they're deciding my fate. I should face them." "They're deciding whether to accept you. Your fate was decided the moment I declared protection." His footsteps approached. "But Troy's been rallying opposition. He's convinced half the council you're dangerous." "Maybe I am." Molly finally looked at him. In the dying light, his amber eyes seemed to glow like Isaac's. "Isaac can sense emotions now, read minds. That's not natural. What if Troy's right? What if I did something wrong?" "You saved a child's life. There's nothing wrong about that." "Even if I changed him? Made him into something other?" Nathan was quiet for a long moment. "My sister asked me the same thing 3 nights ago. She was terrified of what Isaac had become, but yesterday I watched her hold him while he cried about a nightmare. And you know what he said?" Molly shook her head. "He said, 'I saw the bad things coming, Mama. The dark wolves. But the moon lady showed me how to be brave.'" Nathan's voice roughened. "Whatever you did to him, you didn't take anything away. You gave him a gift, the ability to see danger before it strikes, to understand the people around him, to be more than he was. The pack doesn't see it that way. The pack is afraid. Fear makes wolves stupid." He moved beside her at the window. "But I won't let them hurt you. I swear it on my title." The weight of that promise settled between them. Well, Molly wanted to ask why he cared so much, why he'd risk his authority for a stranger, but the horn sounded below. Time to face judgment. The great hall was packed with bodies and noise. At least 200 wolves filled the space, some in human form, others letting their wolves show through, glowing eyes, extended claws, the subtle ripple of fur beneath skin. Molly entered beside Nathan, and silence crashed like a wave. Every eye turned to her. She kept her chin up, and refusing to show fear even as her heart hammered. She'd worn the simple dress provided, gray, the color of packless omegas, but someone had added a silver cloak. The king's colors. A statement. The council sat at the head table, 7 elder wolves, including Troy, who watched her with undisguised hatred. At the center sat an ancient woman with white hair and eyes that had seen too much. Elder Kathleen, the pack historian and spiritual leader. "Oh, Molly Stewart," Kathleen's voice carried despite its softness. "You stand accused of using forbidden magic to corrupt a royal child. How do you answer?" "I healed him," Molly said clearly. "I used the gift the moon gave me to save Prince Isaac's life. If that's a crime, then I'm guilty." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "The gift?" Troy surged to his feet. "You call dark magic a gift? The prince is marked, changed. Oh, he speaks in prophecies and reads minds like some kind of oracle," Kathleen interrupted. "The boy speaks like an oracle, something we haven't seen in 3 generations." The hall went dead quiet. "What?" Michelle stood from her place near the front. "An oracle? But that's rare, precious, a sign of the moon's favor." Kathleen's ancient eyes fixed on Molly. "Child, where did you learn to heal?" "I didn't learn. It just happened. When I was 16, my mother was dying. I touched her and the power came." Molly's voice steadied. "My old pack called it corruption, exiled me for saving my own mother's life." "Which pack?" Molly hesitated. Naming them would invite questions she couldn't answer, but lying to an elder was worse. "Shadowbrook, in the Eastern Territories." Gasps. Someone shouted, "Shadowbrook exiles all healers. They think it's witchcraft." "Because they're fools," Kathleen snapped. "Healing is the rarest gift the moon grants. Rarer than alpha strength, rarer than oracle sight. And this child has both healed and awakened an oracle." She turned to the council. "Do you not see? She's not cursed. She's blessed." "Blessed?" Troy's face purpled. "She nearly died from using her power. That's not a blessing. That's a corruption that feeds on life force." "All power has a cost," Kathleen said. "Alpha strength requires constant dominance. Oracle sight can drive you mad. Why should healing be any different? Because it's unnatural! Troy slammed his fist on the table. No wolf should be able to bring back the dead. It violates the natural order. Isaac wasn't dead, Molly interjected. He was dying. There's a difference. His heart had stopped, Troy shot back. I checked myself. No pulse, no breath. Dead. For how long? Kathleen asked sharply. Troy faltered. Moments, maybe a minute. Then he wasn't gone. Merely at death's door. Kathleen looked at Molly with something like approval. You pulled him back from the threshold. That's healing, not resurrection. It's semantics, Troy growled. The point is, she's dangerous, unpredictable. We don't know what else she can do. So we should kill her? Nathan's voice was deadly quiet. Execute someone who saved my nephew, who used her gift selflessly, knowing it would nearly destroy her. We should exile her, Troy amended. Oh, send her away before she corrupts others. No. Nathan stepped forward, and the alpha dominance rolling off him made lesser wolves bare their throats instinctively. I've declared protection. She stays. You're thinking with your... Troy caught himself, but the implication hung in the air. The hall erupted. Wolves shouted, argued, some defending Molly, others demanding her exile. The noise built to a roar until... Enough! Isaac's voice, impossibly loud for a child, cut through the chaos. Yet he stood on a bench near his mother, his eyes blazing silver and gold, and every wolf in the hall felt the power radiating from him. The Moon Lady stays, Isaac said, and his voice carried harmonics that shouldn't exist. I saw it. In the in-between place. She's supposed to be here. She's supposed to save us. Save us from what? Someone called. Isaac's glowing eyes found Troy. From the dark wolves. The ones who want to take her. Use her. And make her bring back their dead even if it kills her. The hall went silent as a grave. What are you talking about? Michelle whispered. They're coming. Isaac's voice was dreamy, distant. An alpha who lost his mate. He's been hunting healers for years, forcing them to try resurrection until they die from the effort. He knows about Moon Lady now. He's gathering an army. Troy's face had gone pale. The boy's mad. Prophecy isn't... My son has never lied. Michelle's voice shook. If he says someone's coming, someone's coming. Kathleen stood slowly, leaning heavily on her staff. 3 months ago, I heard reports of an Eastern Alpha gone rogue. Draven something. His mate died in childbirth. They say he's been kidnapping Omegas with rare gifts, trying to force them to bring her back. Molly's blood turned to ice. He kidnaps them? And kills them when they fail. Kathleen's expression was grim. 5 Omegas dead in the last year alone. The implications crashed over Molly like a wave. If this Draven learned about her, learned she'd successfully healed someone from death's door, he'd never stop hunting her. Then she definitely needs to leave, Troy said, but his voice lacked conviction now. Before she brings war to our door. She brings war either way. Nathan's jaw was set. If we exile her, Draven takes her and tortures her to death. If she stays, we can protect her. Protect her? Troy laughed bitterly. Against an army? We're not equipped for... Then we prepare. Nathan's voice rang with authority. We fortify borders, train harder. Molly stays under my protection, and anyone who wants her goes through me first. The challenge hung in the air. Troy looked around the hall, clearly calculating support, and found it lacking. Most wolves were nodding, swayed by Isaac's prophecy and the threat of an external enemy. Fine, Troy spat. She stays, but when Draven comes, and he will come, her blood is on your hands, my king. He stormed out, taking a handful of supporters with him. Kathleen banged her staff 3 times. The council has decided. Molly Stewart is granted sanctuary in the Northern Territories under royal protection. All in favor? 5 hands rose. Only 2 abstained. It's done. Kathleen's ancient eyes found Molly. Welcome to the pack, child. Yes, may the moon guide your path. The hall erupted in mixed reactions, some cheering, some grumbling, but the decision was final. Molly was packed now. She should have felt relieved. Instead, all she felt was the weight of Isaac's prophecy settling around her shoulders like a shroud. The dark wolves are coming. And she'd just painted a target on everyone who'd chosen to protect her. If you're rooting for Molly to survive what's coming, hit subscribe. Don't be the person who wants her safe but won't stand with her when it counts. Chapter 4. A Traitor's Message. The nightmare came 3 weeks later. Molly woke, gasping, tangled in sweat-soaked sheets, the echo of screaming still ringing in her ears. In the dream, she'd seen him, a massive wolf with eyes like frozen lakes, standing over a pile of broken bodies, omegas, all of them, dead from forced healings, and he'd been smiling. Moon Lady? She jerked upright. Isaac stood in her doorway, his glowing eyes the only light in the pre-dawn darkness. Isaac, oh, what? How did you get past the guards? I felt you scared. He patted closer, bare feet silent on stone. You dreamed about the bad alpha, Draven. Molly's breath caught. How do you know his name? I see things. Isaac climbed onto her bed with the casual confidence of a child who'd been doing it for weeks. And he had been. Despite Michelle's protests, Isaac refused to sleep unless Molly was nearby. Some nights he'd curl up on the floor of her room. Other nights, like now, he'd simply appear when she needed him. The bond between them had only grown stronger. Tell me what you saw, Molly whispered. Isaac's small hand found hers. He's close, maybe a week away. He's bringing soldiers, 50, maybe more, and he knows exactly where you are. His eyes dimmed slightly. Someone told him. Someone from inside the pack. Ice flooded Molly's veins. A traitor? Troy. Isaac said the name with certainty. He sent a message 5 days ago. He thinks if Draven takes you away, the pack will be safe. That bastard. Molly was already moving, grabbing her cloak. I need to tell Nathan. He's already awake. He felt your fear too. Molly froze. What? Isaac tilted his head, studying her with those two old eyes. You don't know? Uncle Nathan is your mate. The bond snapped for him the day you healed me. He's been going crazy trying not to tell you. The room spun. That's not... Mates can't be... An alpha king and a packless omega? Isaac smiled. The moon doesn't care about ranks, Moon Lady. She cares about souls that fit. Before Molly could process that bomb, her door burst open. Nathan stood there, half-dressed and breathing hard, his eyes wild with the same panic she'd felt in the dream. You're hurt, he said, crossing the room in 2 strides. His hands hovered over her shoulders, checking for injuries he wouldn't find. I felt... your fear, it was... I'm fine. Molly's voice came out shakier than intended. It was just a dream. About Draven. Not a question. Nathan's jaw clenched. Isaac told me he's coming, and that Troy... He stopped, clearly trying to control his rage. I've already ordered Troy's arrest. He'll face trial for treason. Don't. The word surprised even Molly. If you arrest him now, his supporters will revolt. The pack's already divided. You can't afford internal conflict when Draven's coming. He betrayed you. He betrayed all of us. But right now, we need unity more than justice. Molly met his eyes, saw the gold fire burning there. Use him. Feed him false information. Let him think you don't know. When Draven comes, Troy's lies will work against him. Nathan stared at her for a long moment. Then something shifted in his expression, respect mixed with something deeper, something that made her skin prickle with awareness. You're brilliant, he said quietly. I'm practical. But she couldn't look away from him. Watt couldn't ignore the pull between them that Isaac had just named. Mate. Uncle Nathan, Isaac's voice broke the moment. The pack needs to know. About Draven. About the war coming. At dawn. Nathan forced himself to step back. I'll call an assembly. We'll prepare. His eyes found Molly's again. And you'll stay in the keep. Protected. No more wandering the grounds alone. I'm not helpless. I know, but you're also not invincible. His voice dropped. And I can't. He stopped, swallowed hard. Mo, I won't lose you. The raw honesty in those words hit Molly like a physical blow. She saw it then, written in every line of his face, the mate bond he'd been hiding, the desperate need to protect her, the fear of rejection. He thinks I'll refuse him. Nathan. Dawn, he interrupted, retreating toward the door. We'll talk after the assembly. For now, get some rest. He paused at the threshold. Isaac, stay with her. Don't let her out of your sight. Yes, Uncle Nathan. When he was gone, Isaac snuggled against Molly's side. He's scared you'll run when you find out about the bond. I'm not running, Molly heard herself say. I'm tired of running. Good, Isaac yawned, because you're my moon lady, and Uncle Nathan's mate, and the pack needs you even if they don't all know it yet. Molly held him close, staring at the ceiling as dawn crept closer. A mate bond, a coming war, a traitor in their midst, and a gift that could save people or get her killed. And what have I gotten myself into? The assembly at dawn was chaos. 200 wolves packed the courtyard as Nathan stood on the platform, radiating the kind of dominance that made even the strongest alphas bow their heads. Draven of the eastern reaches is coming, he announced, and shocked silence fell. He's gathered an army and he's hunting our healer. In 1 week, maybe less, we'll be at war. The courtyard erupted. This is her fault, someone shouted. We should hand her over. Let Draven have the witch. Enough! Nathan's voice cracked like thunder. Molly Stewart is pack. She's under my protection. Anyone who touches her answers to me with their life. Then you'll sacrifice us all for one Omega? The challenge came from Luke, one of Troy's supporters. She's not worth a war. Before Nathan could respond, Michelle stepped onto the platform. Her presence commanded instant respect. She was a widow, a mother, and beloved by the pack. Oh, my son was dead, she said clearly. His heart stopped. His wounds were fatal, and Molly brought him back. She gave him life at the cost of her own health. She gave me my child. Her voice broke. So yes, she's worth fighting for. She's worth dying for. Because she's the kind of wolf who risks everything for strangers, who heals instead of hurts, who loves instead of destroys. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. And if you think Draven will leave peacefully once he has her, Michelle continued, hey, you're fools. He's a rogue alpha with an army. He'll take what he wants. Our lands, our resources, our people. Molly's just an excuse. This war was coming either way. Murmurs of agreement now. The tide was turning. Nathan met his sister's eyes with visible gratitude. We have 1 week to prepare. Double the border patrols, train every able-bodied wolf, fortify the keep, and... He paused, letting his words sink in. We fight as pack, united. Or we die divided. And what about Troy? Luke demanded. He's been awful quiet this morning. Because Troy was gone. Fled in the night after Isaac's prophecy. Smart enough to know his betrayal would be discovered. Troy is no longer pack, Nathan said coldly. Anyone who sees him is ordered to detain on sight. His supporters can choose, stay loyal to the pack or follow him into exile. Luke and the others exchanged glances. Finally, Luke stepped forward and bared his throat in submission. We stay, my king. We fight. One by one, the others followed. Even the wolves who'd demanded Molly's exile now bent their knees, swayed by Michelle's testimony and the reality of war. Molly watched from a balcony above, Isaac at her side. She felt the weight of their loyalty, their fear, their desperate hope that she was worth the blood about to be spilled. They're scared, Isaac said. So am I. But you'll fight anyway. That's what makes you brave. Isaac's glowing eyes found hers. Oh, and when the time comes, you'll have to choose. Choose what? Whether to heal Uncle Nathan or let him die like a warrior. Isaac's voice was matter-of-fact, like he was discussing the weather. "I saw it. In the vision. Draven will wound him badly. You'll only have seconds to decide. Save your mate and risk never healing again, or let him die and keep your power for the others who'll need it." Horror and denial warred in Molly's chest. That's not... I would never... "You'll have to," Isaac said simply, "because that's what war is. Impossible choices, and the Moon Lady always chooses love." Below, Nathan dismissed the assembly. Warriors scattered to prepare. The countdown to war had begun, and Molly stood frozen, Isaac's prophecy echoing in her mind like a death sentence. Choose between love and duty, between one life and many. She'd saved Isaac without thinking. But when the moment came with Nathan, her mate, as the man she'd barely admitted she cared for, would she be able to make the same choice? Or would she finally understand why some healers broke under the weight of their gifts? Chapter 5. The Enemy at the Gates. The week passed in a blur of preparation and dread. Molly spent her days in the Keep's healing ward, teaching the pack healers everything she knew about treating battle wounds. She couldn't share her gift. Healing through life force transfer was hers alone, but she could teach them herbs, poultices, how to stop bleeding, how to set bones. She spent her nights unable to sleep, haunted by Isaac's prophecy. "You'll have to choose." On the 5th day, Anna and Nathan found her in the library, surrounded by ancient texts on wolf warfare. He'd been avoiding her since the assembly, too busy preparing defenses, or maybe too afraid to face the mate bond hanging between them like a blade. "You should be resting," he said from the doorway. "So should you." Molly didn't look up from the text. "When's the last time you slept?" 2 days ago, maybe 3. He moved into the room, and she caught the scent of him, pine and smoke, and something uniquely Nathan that made her wolf whine. "Scouts report Draven's army is 2 days out, 50 soldiers like Isaac said, maybe more in reserve." "Can we win?" "We have home advantage, better terrain, and our warriors are well trained." He paused. "But Draven's fighters are rogues, no honor, no rules. They'll fight dirty." Molly finally met his eyes. He looked exhausted, bruises under his eyes, tension in every line of his body. The weight of leadership was crushing him. "Nathan, if this goes badly, it won't." "If it does," she insisted, "I need you to promise me something." He went still. "What?" "Don't let them take me alive." The words came out steady despite her fear. "If Draven wins, if his soldiers breach the keep, end it quickly, please." The color drained from Nathan's face. "You're asking me to kill you." "I'm asking you to save me from something worse." Molly stood, crossing to him. "I've heard the stories." Nathan. What Draven does to healers. The torture. The forced attempts at resurrection until their minds break and their bodies give out. "I won't..." Her voice cracked. "I won't die like that, screaming and broken and begging for death." "Stop." Nathan's hands shot out, gripping her shoulders. "Don't talk like that. Don't even think like that." "Someone has to..." She searched his face. "Promise me. If it comes to that, you'll..." "No." The word came out harsh. "I won't make that promise. I won't even consider it, because I'm going to keep you safe. I'm going to win this war and then..." He stopped, jaw working. "And then what?" His hands slid from her shoulders to cup her face, the gesture achingly gentle. "And then I'm going to tell you what I should have said 3 weeks ago. When the bond snapped and I realized the moon had given me something I never thought I'd have again." Molly's breath caught. "Nathan?" "I know you know. Isaac can't keep a secret to save his life." A hint of humor touched his exhausted expression. "And I know this is terrible timing. War's coming. You're terrified. I'm half dead from lack of sleep. But I need you to understand something." "What?" "You're not just the Omega who saved my nephew. You're not just a powerful healer I need to protect." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "You're my mate, my second chance. Ed and I will burn this kingdom to the ground before I let Draven touch you." The words should have scared her. The intensity, the possessiveness, the absolute conviction. But instead, Molly felt something loosen in her chest, something that had been locked tight since her exile 3 years ago. "I don't know how to be someone's mate," she whispered. "I don't know how to be Pack. I've been alone so long." "Then we'll figure it out together." Nathan leaned his forehead against hers. "After the war." "But when there's time, when I can court you properly instead of just trying to keep you alive." "What if there is no after?" The question hung between them. What if Isaac's vision comes true? What if I have to choose between saving you and— "Then you choose yourself." Nathan's voice was firm. "You choose the Pack. You don't waste your gift on one wolf when dozens might need you." "Even if that wolf is you?" "Especially if it's me." His amber eyes burned into hers. "I'm the king, Molly. No, my life isn't worth more than my warriors. If I fall, the Pack needs you more than they need me. Promise me you understand that." It was Molly's turn to say no. "I won't promise that." "Molly, you won't promise to end my suffering if Draven takes me. I won't promise to let you die if I can save you." She pulled back enough to meet his eyes fully. "We're at an impasse, Alpha King." Despite everything, Nathan laughed. It was a rough, exhausted sound, but genuine. "What, you're going to be a terrible mate. Stubborn, argumentative, completely unwilling to follow orders. Is it too late to reject the bond?" 3 years too late." His smile faded. "I knew the moment I saw you covered in blood, singing to my dying nephew. I just didn't understand it yet." Molly's heart twisted. "Nathan, The war horn screamed across the compound. They both froze. One long blast, then 2 short. The signal they'd all been dreading. Enemy sighted. "Why, they're early," Nathan breathed. Then he was moving, all exhaustion burned away by adrenaline. "Get to the keep's inner chambers, now!" "I can help. You can help by staying alive." He was already at the door, shouting orders. "Isaac, Michelle, get Molly to the safe room." Warriors thundered past in the hallway. Molly heard the clash of weapons being distributed, the organized chaos of a pack preparing for battle. Isaac appeared, eyes blazing. "They're at the north gate. Draven's with them. I can feel his wrongness from here." Michelle grabbed Molly's arm. "Come on, we need to get below." But Molly was watching Nathan, watching him transform from the vulnerable man who'd just bared his heart to the Alpha King his pack needed. Power rolled off him in waves as his wolf surged close to the surface. He turned back one last time, eyes finding hers across the chaos. "Stay alive," he mouthed. Then he was gone, racing toward the battle that would decide all their fates. At the safe room was actually a fortified basement, stone walls 3 feet thick, a single reinforced door, and enough supplies for a week-long siege. Michelle, Isaac, and a dozen other non-combatants huddled inside while the sounds of battle raged above. Molly paced like a caged animal. "Sit down," Michelle said, though her own hands were shaking. "You'll wear a path in the stone. I should be up there. I can help the wounded." "You'll be captured the moment you step outside." Michelle's voice was firm. "That's exactly what Draven wants." "So I just hide while people die protecting me?" "You stay alive so their sacrifice means something." A particularly loud crash shook dust from the ceiling. Someone above screamed. The sound cut off abruptly. Isaac pressed against Molly's side, his small body trembling. "Uncle Nathan is fighting Draven. They're—" He gasped. "It's bad. Moon Lady. It's really bad." "What do you see?" "Blood. So much blood." Isaac's eyes rolled back, showing only white. His voice went hollow, distant. "The Dark Wolf is stronger than Uncle Nathan thought. Faster. He's been killing healers for 5 years. He knows how to fight dirty, how to hurt without killing right away." "Isaac, stop!" Michelle tried to pull him away, but the boy's grip on Molly was iron. "Uncle Nathan is losing. Draven's toying with him, making him weak. making him bleed. Isaac's eyes snapped back to silver gold, tears streaming down his face. You have to go, Moon Lady. You have to save him. I can't leave this room. Your mother's right. If I go out there, then Uncle Nathan dies, and Draven wins, and the pack falls. Isaac's voice cracked. I saw it. Both futures. In one, you stay safe and everyone dies. In the other, you risk everything and maybe, we survive. The weight of prophecy crashed over Molly like a wave. This was it. It the choice Isaac had warned her about. Stay safe and watch Nathan die. Or risk capture to save him. Not much of a choice at all. Michelle, I'm sorry. Molly was already moving toward the door. Don't you dare. Michelle blocked her path. I won't let you sacrifice yourself. I'm not sacrificing anything. I'm saving my mate. Molly met the other woman's eyes. You'd do the same for Isaac. You know you would. Michelle's face crumpled. If you die up there, then make sure Isaac knows I loved him. Molly pulled her into a quick, fierce hug. Then she was at the door, yanking back the bolt. Moon Lady! Isaac called. She turned. His eyes were glowing so bright it hurt to look at. The Dark Wolf will offer you a choice. Take the third option, the one he doesn't see coming. What third option? But Isaac just smiled, sad and ancient. You'll know when the moment comes. Trust your gift. Oh, trust the moon. Then Molly was through the door and running toward the sounds of battle, toward her mate, toward a fate she couldn't see but knew she had to face. Behind her, Michelle whispered a prayer to the moon, and Isaac closed his glowing eyes, watching futures collapse and reform with every step Molly took. Please, he thought at the moon, please let her choose right. Chapter 6. The Gift That Kills. The courtyard was a nightmare painted in blood and moonlight. Bodies littered the ground, some moving, some horribly still. Northern warriors clashed with Draven's rogues in brutal close combat, the air thick with snarls and the wet sound of claws tearing flesh. Fire burned in 3 places, sending smoke spiraling into the night sky. Molly pressed against the keep's wall, trying to locate Nathan through the chaos. Had her heart hammered so hard she could barely breathe. Every instinct screamed at her to run back to safety, but she forced herself forward, scanning the battlefield. There. At the center of the carnage, 2 massive wolves circled each other. One was midnight black with amber eyes that blazed like fire, Nathan in his full wolf form, magnificent and deadly. The other was silver white with eyes like frozen lakes, easily matching Nathan's size, Draven. Even from 50 yards away, Molly could feel the wrongness radiating from him. His power was twisted, corrupted by grief and obsession into something that made her skin crawl. Nathan lunged. Draven met him midair. They collided with the force of an avalanche, claws and fangs seeking killing blows. But Nathan was slower than he should be. Blood matted his fur, one leg moved awkwardly. He was already wounded, badly wounded. Draven laughed, the sound emerging as a cruel bark from his wolf throat. He'd been toying with Nathan, wearing him down, and now... The white wolf's jaws clamped around Nathan's throat. No! The scream tore from Molly's chest before she could stop it. Every head in the courtyard turned. The fighting paused as both sides registered her presence. Draven's eyes found her. His jaw released Nathan, who collapsed to the ground in a pool of his own blood. The white wolf shifted smoothly into human form. Tall, lean, with silver hair and those terrible frozen eyes. There you are, Draven said, his voice carrying across the sudden silence. The miracle worker, the life-bringer. Molly's hands began to glow without conscious thought. Golden light spilled from her palms, and she felt her gift surging, desperate to reach Nathan, to heal him before he bled out on the stones. Stay back, Luke shouted, moving to intercept her. It's a trap. But Molly was already running. She dropped to her knees beside Nathan's broken body, pressing her glowing hands against the gaping wounds in his throat and chest. The healing power flowed, and she felt his life force flickering like a candle in a storm. "Hold on. Please, hold on." "Fascinating." Draven's voice came from directly behind her. "They said you were selfless, stupid enough to risk everything for others. I didn't believe it until now." Molly didn't stop healing. Couldn't stop. Nathan's heart was barely beating, his breath coming in wet, rattling gasps. "Sure, here's what's going to happen," Draven continued conversationally. "You're going to come with me peacefully. In exchange, I'll call off my soldiers. Your pack lives. Their king lives. Everyone goes home relatively intact." "And if I refuse?" Molly managed through gritted teeth. The healing was taking everything. She could feel her own life force draining rapidly. "Then I kill him right now." Cold steel pressed against the back of her neck. "And everyone else in this courtyard. Starting with that little glowing-eyed prophet child you're so fond of. Isaac, wasn't it? I'm sure he'd make interesting screaming sounds." Golden light flared brighter. Nathan's throat wounds were closing, but slowly, too slowly. She needed more time. "Don't," Nathan rasped, his eyes flickering open. "Don't. Go with him." Touching. Draven's blade pressed harder. "But predictable. Let me clarify your options, healer. Option 1, come willingly and they all live. Or option 2, refuse and watch me butcher everyone you care about, starting with your mate. Which will it be?" Molly's mind raced. Isaac's words echoed. "The dark wolf will offer you a choice. Take the third option." What third option? She couldn't fight. She was an Omega with no combat training. She couldn't run. Draven would cut her down. She couldn't refuse. He'd massacre the pack. And she couldn't agree. She'd spend the rest of her short, an agonizing life being tortured to resurrect a woman who'd been dead for 5 years. Trust your gift. Trust the moon. And suddenly, Molly understood. "I'll come," she said clearly, "but I have a condition." Draven laughed. "You're not in a position to make conditions, little Omega." "I am, if you want me alive and functional." Molly's hands never stopped glowing, never stopped healing. "Healers break, Draven. You know this. You've killed 5 already. We're fragile. But we can't work under constant torture. Our gift, it needs something to anchor to, something to fight for." She felt Draven's interest sharpen. "Go on." "Let me heal him completely. Let me say goodbye. Give me that, and I'll come willingly. I'll try to heal your mate. I'll give you everything I have without fighting, without breaking, without making you force me." Her voice dropped. "But if you take me now, while he's dying, while I'm watching him bleed out, I'll be useless to you, shattered. My gift will be gone before we reach your territory." It was a gamble, a desperate lie built on a seed of truth. Healers did break under trauma. She just had no idea if she was one of them. The silence stretched. Then Draven withdrew the blade. "You have 5 minutes to heal him. Then we leave. And if you try anything clever, I won't." Molly doubled her efforts, pouring everything into Nathan's wounds. "I'm not a fighter, Draven. I'm a healer. Fighting isn't in my nature." "Good." Draven stepped back but stayed close. "Because my patience has limits." Around them, the battle had frozen. Northern warriors held position, weapons ready but not attacking. Draven's rogues did the same. Everyone watched the glowing Omega heal their fallen king. "Molly, no." Nathan's hand caught her wrist weakly. "Don't trade yourself." "Shh." She leaned close, letting her hair curtain their faces. To anyone watching, it looked like a tender goodbye. But her lips barely moved as she whispered, "I'm buying time. Trust me." His amber eyes widened slightly. Understanding flickered. "When I'm gone," she continued in that same barely there whisper, "get Isaac. Ask him what comes next. He'll know." Her hands worked faster, the glow intensifying. "And Nathan? Don't come after me. Not yet. Wait for the right moment." "I'll find you," he breathed. "I swear it." "I know." She pressed her lips to his forehead, a quick, desperate kiss. That's why I'm not afraid. The wounds had closed. Nathan's breathing steadied. The worst of the damage was healed, though he'd be weak for days. Molly pulled back, swaying with exhaustion. Her vision grayed at the edges. "Time's up," Draven announced. "Say your goodbyes." Molly stood on shaking legs. She looked around the courtyard, at Michelle, watching with horror from the keep's entrance, at the warriors who'd fought to protect her, at Luke, who'd submitted despite hating her presence. "Thank you," she said clearly, "for giving me a home, for accepting me, for fighting for me." Her eyes found Michelle. "Take care of Isaac. Tell him the Moon Lady will come back. He'll understand." Then she turned to Draven and lifted her chin. "I'm ready." "Smart girl." Draven's hand clamped around her arm like a vice. He raised his voice. "Hear this, Northern Pack. Your healer comes willingly. Any attempt to follow or retrieve her will result in her immediate death." "Oh, understood?" No one answered. The fury rolling off the Northern warriors was palpable, but they held position. Attacking now would doom Molly. Nathan tried to rise, fell back. His eyes burned into Molly's. "I will find you." She nodded once. Then Draven was dragging her toward the gates, his rogues falling into formation around them. Within minutes, they'd vanished into the forest, taking Molly with them. The courtyard erupted. Warriors roared in frustration, and some wanting to give chase immediately. Others tended to the wounded. Michelle ran to Nathan's side, helping him stand on trembling legs. "We have to go after her," Luke snarled. "We can't just let him take her." "We wait," Nathan growled, though every line of his body screamed at him to shift and pursue. "She said to wait. She has a plan." "What plan?" "She's an Omega healer, not a tactical genius. She's also smarter than all of us combined." Nathan's eyes found Isaac, who'd emerged from the keep, glowing eyes fixed on the forest where Molly had disappeared. "Isaac, tell me what you see." The boy's voice was distant, dreamy. "Moon Lady knows something Draven doesn't. Something about healing. Something about the dead." His eyes focused on Nathan. "His mate isn't just dead, Uncle Nathan. She's been dead for 5 years. That's too long. Way too long. But Moon Lady's gonna try anyway." "Why would she try if she knows it won't work?" Isaac smiled. And it was sharp and knowing. "Because when it fails, Draven will be vulnerable, broken. That's when she'll use the second part of her gift, the part she didn't tell anyone about." Nathan's blood went cold. "What second part?" "Healers can give life." Isaac's voice dropped to a whisper. "But they can also take it away. The moon grants balance, Uncle Nathan. For every life saved, there's the power to end one. Moon Lady just never wanted to be a killer." Horror and hope warred in Nathan's chest. "She's going to kill him." "She's going to try. But she'll need help. She'll need you." Isaac's glowing eyes bored into his uncle's. "Give her 3 days, then come. Bring your best fighters, and when you breach Draven's compound, look for the golden light. That's where she'll be. That's when you strike." 3 days. 72 hours while Molly was in the hands of a madman. Every instinct Nathan had screamed at him to leave now, to tear apart the forest until he found her. But she'd asked him to trust her, to wait for the right moment. So he would wait. He would prepare. And when the time came, he would bring hell itself to Draven's door. 3 days, he said quietly. Then louder to his warriors. "Everyone who can still fight. With me. We plan, we prepare, and in 3 days, we get our healer back." The roar of agreement shook the courtyard, and in the forest, being dragged toward an uncertain fate, Molly felt the echo of that roar through the half-formed mate bond, felt Nathan's promise like a physical thing. "I'm coming for you." She just had to survive long enough for him to arrive. Subscribe if you believe Nathan will keep his promise. Because Molly risked everything for strangers, the least we can do is stay for her story. Chapter 7. When Healers Break. Draven's compound was a fortress carved into the mountain, all stone and iron and the stench of old death. They arrived at dawn after a brutal night march. Molly's feet were bloody, her body screaming with exhaustion, but she forced herself to stay alert, to observe, guard rotations, weak points in the walls, how many rogues Draven commanded. Anything that might help when Nathan came. If he comes in time. "Welcome to your new home," Draven said, he dragging her through iron gates. "Try not to die too quickly. I'd hate to waste the effort of bringing you here." The interior was worse than Molly had imagined. Cells lined the walls, most empty now, but the scent of old blood and despair clung to every surface. This was where the other healers had died, where Draven had broken them trying to resurrect his mate. He shoved her into a central chamber lit by dozens of candles, and there, on a stone altar in the center, lay the body. Draven's mate had been preserved somehow. Magic or alchemy, Molly couldn't tell. She looked almost alive, like she was sleeping. Beautiful, with dark hair and delicate features. But the wrongness was immediate and overwhelming. This woman had been dead for 5 years. Her soul was long gone. "Janice," Draven whispered, approaching the altar with reverence that would have been touching if it wasn't so twisted. "I brought you another one. This one's special, and she brought a child back from death's door. Surely she can bring you back." Molly's stomach churned. "Draven, I need to tell you something about healing. No talking." His hand shot out, gripping her throat. "I've heard every excuse, every lie, every desperate plea from the others. You'll try, and you'll succeed, or you'll die trying. Those are your only options." He released her, and Molly gasped for air. Her mind raced. She needed to play this carefully, make him believe she was trying. And that failure wasn't her fault, but a limitation of death itself, and she needed to wait for the right moment to use the darker half of her gift. The killing touch that Isaac had revealed. She'd never wanted to take a life, never wanted to be anything but a healer. But looking at Draven, at the madness in his eyes, the obsession that had killed 5 Omegas already, she knew some lives needed ending. "I'll try," she said quietly, "but you need to understand, resurrection isn't the same as healing." "Yet if someone's been dead for too long, their soul is gone. I can try to call it back, but—" "Then try!" Draven roared. "Stop making excuses and try!" Molly approached the altar on shaking legs. She placed her hands on Janice's cold chest, and her power stirred reluctantly. The woman's body was intact, preserved, but empty. A vessel with nothing inside. This is going to fail, Molly thought, and when it does, he'll break. She closed her eyes and reached deep, yet pulling on her gift harder than she ever had. Golden light spilled from her palms, flooding into the dead woman's body. Molly searched for any spark of life, any thread of soul to grab onto. Nothing. She pushed harder, pouring more of herself into the attempt. Her nose began to bleed. Her vision swam. The candles flickered as raw power filled the chamber. Still nothing. "It's working," Draven breathed. "I can see the light. Keep going." But it wasn't working. The body remained cold and empty no matter how much power Molly channeled. She was killing herself for nothing, exactly as the other healers had done. Except Molly had a plan. She kept pushing, kept the light flowing, until her legs gave out and she collapsed against the altar. Blood poured from her nose and ears now. Her hands were shaking violently. "Why isn't she waking up?" Draven's voice rose with panic. "You're doing it wrong. Try harder." "I can't," Molly gasped. "She's been dead too long. Her soul is gone. There's nothing to call back." "Liar!" Draven grabbed her by the hair, yanking her head back. "The others said the same thing, but you're stronger. You brought a child back from death." "Isaac wasn't dead," Molly screamed. "He was dying. There's a difference. A soul that's still tethered can be saved, but once it's gone—" She choked on blood. "Once it's truly gone, nothing can bring it back. Not me, not anyone. It's impossible." The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Draven's face went through a series of expressions: denial, rage, grief, and finally, something that looked like shattering. His hands released her hair, and she collapsed to the floor. 5 years, he whispered. 5 years of searching, of hoping, of believing I could fix this. His frozen eyes found Molly. You're telling me I did all of this for nothing? That I killed those other healers for nothing? This was it. The moment Isaac had predicted. Draven was breaking, his obsession crumbling, leaving him vulnerable. Molly forced herself to her knees. Her hands still glowed faintly, the power not quite extinguished, and beneath the healing light, she felt it. The other side of her gift, the shadow to balance the light, the power to end life as easily as she saved it. I'm sorry, she said, and meant it. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry you've been trapped in grief for so long. But Janice is gone, Draven. And all the Omegas you've tortured, all the blood you've spilled, it won't bring her back. Nothing will. Then what was the point? Draven's voice broke. What was any of this for? He turned his back to her, shoulders shaking. For just a moment, he was no longer a monster. Just a broken man who'd lost everything and made terrible choices trying to get it back. Molly's healing hands shifted. The golden light darkened, taking on a crimson edge. She'd never done this before, had never wanted to. Oh, but she thought of the 5 dead Omegas, of Isaac's prophecy, of Nathan coming in 3 days to find either her corpse or her victory. Some lives need ending. She lunged. Her hands pressed against Draven's back, and instead of healing power, she pushed the opposite. Life drain. The force that took instead of gave, that ended instead of saved. Draven screamed. He tried to throw her off, but she held on with desperate strength, half feeling his life force pour into her even as she willed it to dissipate, to scatter, to end. I'm sorry, she gasped again. But you made yourself a monster, and I can't let you hurt anyone else. Draven's wolf surged forward, trying to save him. But Molly's power was moon-gifted, older than Packlaw, older than alpha dominance. It bypassed his strength and struck directly at his soul. He collapsed to his knees. His eyes, those frozen lake eyes, found hers with something like understanding. She was everything, he whispered. Without her, I was nothing. That's not true, Molly said softly, even as she felt his life slipping away. You could have been something else, could have honored her memory differently. But you chose revenge and obsession over healing. I chose wrong. His voice was fading. Tell Janice. Tell her I'm sorry. For what I became. Then his eyes glazed and he fell forward, dead before he hit the stone. Molly's hands released him, the dark light dying. Oh, she stared at what she'd done, at the body of the man she'd killed, and felt nothing but hollow numbness. She was a healer. Healers saved lives, but she'd just taken one. For the greater good, she told herself, to save future victims, to protect the pack. It didn't make her feel any less like a murderer. The compound outside erupted in shouts. Someone had heard Draven scream. Within seconds, rogues would flood this chamber, and she'd be dead or recaptured. Molly forced herself to move, and she grabbed a knife from Draven's belt and cut through the ropes on her wrists that she'd been too exhausted to break earlier. Then she ran, not toward the exit, but deeper into the compound. She needed a defensible position, somewhere she could hold out until Nathan arrived, if he arrives. 3 days, Isaac said, but it's only been 1. She found a storage room with a heavy door and barred herself inside. Her body was failing. The double use of her power, first trying to resurrect Janice, and then killing Draven, had drained her to the edge of death. She slumped against the wall and felt consciousness beginning to slip. Just hold on, she told herself. Nathan is coming. He promised. Outside, she heard rogues shouting, searching. Someone tried the door handle. It held. She's in there! Break it down! Heavy blows against wood. It wouldn't last long. Molly's eyes drifted closed. Golden light still flickered weakly from her palms. A beacon, she realized dimly, and anyone sensitive to power could track it. Good, she thought, as darkness claimed her. Let Nathan find the light, just like Isaac said. The last thing she heard before unconsciousness took her was the sound of splintering wood and the roar of rogues flooding in. 2 days later, in the Northern Territory. It's time. Nathan looked up from the war map to find Isaac standing in the doorway, eyes blazing with prophecy. "You're sure?" Nathan asked, though he already knew the answer. And every instinct he had was screaming at him to move, to run, to find his mate before it was too late. "She killed Draven," Isaac said. "But the rogues captured her. They're planning to execute her at dawn tomorrow as revenge. You have maybe 12 hours. 12 hours. A full day faster than the 3-day timeline. Nathan was already moving, shouting orders. "Luke, gather the strike team. We leave in 10 minutes. Chaos erupted as warriors scrambled to prepare. Michelle appeared with supplies, shed her face tight with worry. "Bring her home," she whispered to Nathan. "Please." "I will." He gripped his sister's shoulder. "I swear it." 10 minutes later, 30 of the pack's best fighters streamed out of the compound, moving at full wolf speed toward the mountains, toward Draven's fortress, toward Molly. Nathan ran at the head of the pack, his black wolf eating up ground with desperate speed. The mate bond was frayed, weakened by distance and Molly's failing strength, but it was still there. "I'm still pulling him forward. Hold on," he thought at her with everything he had. "I'm coming. Just hold on." Molly woke to rough hands dragging her into the courtyard. Her body was broken, ribs cracked, face bruised, barely conscious. The rogues had beaten her after capture, venting their rage at their dead alpha. Now they'd gathered to watch her die. "String her up," someone snarled. "Let her bleed out slow." They tied her hands above her head, suspending her from a post. The rough rope bit into her wrists. Pain exploded through her broken ribs as they pulled the rope taut. "Any last words, healer?" The new leader, a scarred brute named Saul, sneered at her. "Want to beg for mercy?" Molly raised her head with effort. "He's coming," she whispered through split lips. "And when he gets here, you'll wish you'd run." Saul laughed. "Your king? Let him come. We'll add his head to our collection." He raised a silver blade, preparing to deliver the first cut. And then, from the forest beyond the walls, came a howl that shook the mountain itself. The Alpha King had arrived. Chapter 8. The Moon's Balance. The wall exploded inward. 30 northern wolves poured through the breach like a flood of vengeance, led by a massive black wolf whose eyes blazed with alpha fury. Nathan had brought his best. Luke, his remaining warriors, everyone who could fight, and they fought like demons. The courtyard became a slaughter. Draven's leaderless rogues were no match for organized, rage-fueled pack warriors. Within minutes, half the rogues were dead or fleeing. The rest formed a desperate defensive circle around Molly, using her as a shield. "Stand down or we kill her!" Saul screamed, his blade at Molly's throat. The northern wolves froze. Nathan shifted to human form, uncaring of his nakedness, his entire focus on Molly's broken body suspended from the post. "Let her go." Each word was dipped in murder. "You think I'm stupid?" Saul pressed the blade harder, drawing blood. "You leave, or I open her throat." Molly's eyes found Nathan's across the carnage. She was barely conscious, but she managed a small smile. "I knew you'd come." "You're already dead," Nathan said to Saul. "You just don't know it yet." "Big talk from a—" The golden light exploded from Molly with such force that everyone was thrown backward. Saul's blade clattered away as he stumbled, shielding his eyes from the brilliance. In that moment of distraction, Molly called on the last reserves of her power, not to heal, not to kill, but to break her bonds. The ropes snapped. She dropped to the ground, unable to stand but free. Luke didn't hesitate. He shifted mid-leap, his wolf form tackling Saul before the rogue could recover his weapon. The two went down in a tangle of claws and fangs. Nathan was already running to Molly. He dropped to his knees beside her, his hands hovering over her broken body, afraid to touch and cause more pain. "Oh, I've got you," he breathed. "I've got you. You're safe now." "Draven," Molly managed. "I killed him. I had to." "I know. Isaac told me. You did what needed to be done." His hands finally settled on her shoulders, gentle as air. "But you're hurt badly. We need to get you to healers." "No time." Molly's eyes darted to the remaining rogues. "They'll keep coming. Need to end this. Need to—" She gasped as pain lanced through her ribs. Around them, the battle was ending. Luke had killed Saul, and the other northern wolves were finishing off the last rogues. But Molly was right. More would come. Draven had followers beyond this compound, loyalists who'd want revenge, unless they believed the cause was truly lost. "Help me up," Molly said. "You can barely breathe." "Help me up." Steel entered her voice despite the weakness. Nathan supported her carefully as she rose on shaking legs. Every movement was agony, but she forced herself to stand straight, to face the handful of surviving rogues who'd surrendered. "Your alpha is dead," she called out, her voice carrying despite its roughness. "I killed him. Not with claws or fangs, but with the same gift he tried to force me to use on his mate." She paused, letting that sink in. He was broken. Obsessed. He murdered 5 innocent healers trying to bring back someone who'd been dead for 5 years, someone whose soul was long gone. The rogues exchanged uneasy glances. I tried to resurrect her," Molly continued. "I gave everything I had, and it failed, because resurrection of the truly dead is impossible. No healer, no matter how powerful, can bring back a soul that's moved on." "You lie," one rogue spat. "You just didn't try hard enough. Then find another healer and try yourself." Molly's golden eyes hardened. "Spend years torturing Omegas, killing them one by one, destroying lives in pursuit of something that cannot be done. Or," she paused, "or accept the truth. Death is final. Grief is real. And the only way forward is to honor the dead by living well, not by becoming monsters in their name." The silence was profound. Then, one by one, the surviving rogues lowered their weapons, dropped to their knees. It wasn't submission to Nathan's authority. It was something deeper, acknowledgement of a truth they'd all been avoiding. "Go," Molly said quietly. "Leave this place. Scatter. Find new packs, new lives. And let this compound stand as a monument to the cost of obsession, not as a rallying point for more death." They went. Within minutes, the courtyard was empty of enemies, leaving only northern wolves and the aftermath of battle. Molly's legs finally gave out. Nathan caught her before she hit the ground, lowering her gently. "That was either brilliant or insane," he murmured. "Both." She tried to smile, but winced. "Is it over? Really over?" "It's over." He pressed his forehead to hers. You ended it. Not with more violence, but with truth, with mercy even after what they did to you." Didn't feel like mercy, felt like survival. Her eyes drifted closed. "Nathan, I need to tell you something. About what I did, what I'm capable of. I know about the killing touch," Isaac explained. His hand cupped her cheek. "And I don't care. You did what you had to do, what any of us would have done. I'm not supposed to kill. I'm a healer." "You're a wolf who was given a gift with 2 sides, light and dark, life and death." His amber eyes bore into hers. "The moon grants balance, Molly. You don't have to be just one thing. You can be both healer and protector, both gentle and fierce, both merciful and just." Tears tracked through the dirt on her face. "I was so scared. Scared I'd break, scared you wouldn't come in time. Scared I'd become like Draven. So obsessed with one goal that I'd lose myself." "Never." Nathan's voice was absolute. "You could never become like him. You know why? Why? Because even after everything he did to you, you gave his rogues a choice. You showed them mercy. That's not something a monster does. He kissed her forehead gently. That's what a true healer does. You heal bodies, but you also heal hearts, minds, souls. Molly wanted to argue, but exhaustion was pulling her under, and her body had been pushed beyond its limits. The forced resurrection attempt, killing Draven, the beating, the final burst of power to break free. Need to sleep, she mumbled. Just for a minute. Sleep. Nathan gathered her carefully into his arms, standing. I'll carry you home, and when you wake up, we're going to have a very long conversation about courting rituals and mate bonds, and whether you're going to keep arguing with every order I give. Despite everything, Molly laughed weakly. Definitely. Going to keep arguing. I wouldn't have it any other way. 3 months later, Molly woke to sunlight and the smell of pine. For a moment, panic seized her. The compound, the rogues, the torture. But then she felt the warm arm around her waist and remembered. Safe. Home. Alive. She turned in Nathan's embrace. He was already awake, watching her with those amber eyes that still made her heart skip. Morning, he rumbled. Oh, morning. She traced the scar on his shoulder, the one from Draven's fangs, the one she'd healed but that had left a mark anyway. How long have you been awake? An hour? Maybe 2. I like watching you sleep. It's one of the few times you're not arguing with me or trying to heal someone against healer's orders. Molly smiled. The past 3 months had been a slow recovery. Her physical wounds had healed within weeks, but the emotional ones took longer. Nightmares still woke her some nights. The memory of using her gift to kill still haunted her. But Nathan had been there through all of it, patient, understanding, never pushing, always supporting. And slowly, carefully, they'd built something real between them. Not just a mate bond, but actual love, trust, partnership. Michelle wants us at breakfast, Nathan said. Something about Isaac having another vision. Of course he does. But there was fondness in Molly's voice. Isaac had become her shadow since her return, following her everywhere, asking endless questions about healing and the moon, and whether she could teach him to see souls like she could. She couldn't, but she appreciated his enthusiasm. They dressed and made their way to the main hall. The pack house had changed in 3 months. Repairs from the battle completed, new warriors integrated, an entire wing converted to a healing center that Molly oversaw. She'd found her purpose here, not just as Nathan's mate, but as the pack's head healer. Teacher to younger healers, counselor to those struggling with trauma, bridge between the alpha's strength and the pack's needs. Michelle met them at the entrance, Isaac bouncing at her side. Finally! Isaac's eyes glowed with excitement. I've been waiting forever. It's been 20 minutes, Michelle said dryly. But she was smiling. The grief of Nikolai's near death, they still called him by his original name in private, had transformed into gratitude. Oh, she'd gained not just her son's life, but a sister in Molly. What's the vision? Nathan asked, settling into his chair. The pack was already gathering, drawn by the promise of prophecy. Isaac climbed onto the table, a breach of etiquette that only he could get away with, and fixed his glowing eyes on Molly. You're going to have visitors, he announced. 3 of them, from different territories, and they're going to ask you to do something really important. Molly exchanged glances with Nathan. What kind of something? Teach them. Isaac's voice took on that distant, prophetic quality. Teach them about healing, about the balance of life and death, about how power can corrupt or save, depending on the heart that wields it. You mean other healers? Molly's heart jumped. There are more? Hiding, Isaac confirmed. Scared. But they heard what you did, how you survived Draven, how you used your gift not just to save but to protect, and they want to learn. Oh, want to be strong like you instead of weak and hunted. The implications cascaded through Molly's mind. a school for healers, a sanctuary where rare gifts could be nurtured instead of feared, a place where omegas with power could learn to defend themselves, to be more than just victims. "That's a lot of responsibility," she said slowly. "You can handle it." Nathan's hand found hers under the table. "We'll build it together. A healing sanctuary, protected by the Northern Pack, but open to any gifted wolf who needs safety and training. The council will object," Luke pointed out from his seat. "Resources, security concerns. Then the council can challenge me." Nathan's voice carried alpha command. "I've made my decision. We build the sanctuary." Around the table, heads nodded. Even the wolves who'd once feared Molly now looked at her with respect. She'd earned their loyalty not through dominance, but through sacrifice, through choosing to protect rather than retreat. When do the visitors arrive?" Molly asked Isaac. 2 days. His grin was impish. "And one of them is really stubborn. She's going to argue with you constantly. You'll love her." Despite herself, Molly laughed. "I look forward to it." The breakfast continued with normal pack business, border reports, trade negotiations, the 1,000 small details of running a territory, but Molly only half listened. Her mind was already racing ahead, planning a sanctuary, a school, and a place where gifts were celebrated instead of punished. After everything she'd suffered, the exile, the loneliness, the torture, maybe this was the point. Maybe her pain had purpose. Not to break her, but to forge her into something stronger, something that could help others survive what she'd survived. When the meal ended and the pack dispersed, Nathan pulled her aside to a private balcony overlooking the territory. "You're thinking too loud," he said, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "I'm thinking about the future." She leaned back into his warmth. "About what we could build. Not just a sanctuary, but a movement. Proof that omegas with rare gifts aren't weak or cursed, that we're valuable, powerful in our own right." "You already proved that." He kissed the top of her head. "But I understand wanting to help others prove it too." "Is that okay? Building something this big, it'll take time, resources. It's more than okay. It's necessary." Nathan turned her to face him. "Now, the old ways, where omegas are seen as lesser, where gifts are punished instead of celebrated, they need to change. And you're exactly the wolf to change them." Molly studied his face. "You really believe that?" "I've believed it since the moment you fought Shadowhawks with your bare hands to protect my nephew. Since you traded yourself to save the pack. Since you faced down an army and won with words instead of claws." His amber eyes blazed with conviction. "You're not just my mate, Molly. You're going to be legendary. And I'm honored to stand beside you while you change the world." The weight of that statement should have been crushing. Instead, it felt like wings. She rose on her toes and kissed him, properly, thoroughly, with all the love and trust and hope that had grown between them. When they broke apart, both breathless, she whispered, "Together then. We build it together." "Always together," Nathan agreed. From the courtyard below, Isaac's voice rang out. "Moon Lady!" Uncle Nathan, stop kissing and come see! The first visitor arrived early." They laughed and headed down to meet whoever had come seeking safety and knowledge, to begin building something new from the ashes of old trauma. As they walked, Molly felt the weight of her past, the exile, the loneliness, the pain, transform into something lighter. Not forgotten, but integrated. Scars that proved she'd survived. Proof that she was stronger than she'd ever imagined. She was a healer who could kill. An omega who'd defied an alpha. A teacher who'd once been cast out. A woman who'd found love in the last place she expected. She was balanced. Light and dark. Mercy and justice. Soft and fierce. She was exactly who the moon had meant her to be. And the story was only beginning.